Welcome back to the channel for another video. It's been a little while since I made a video from scratch, just an opinion piece. But today we've played 10 games to start the season, and so we have a little bit of a review to do to see how we've been doing. And we've had a bit of a tough start. But we've still looked good even when we lost games at the beginning of the season. We still looked good. So I want to have a little look here. So this is what the standings looks like after 10 games played. There's two teams who have 11 games played. That is Linköping and Frölunda. Frölunda is in 6th place. Linköping is in 9th place. But majority of the teams have played 10 rounds. So um, this is sort of where I expect Malmo to end up, like 7th, 8th, around there, just outside the top 6. This is what I think we're capable of this season. And yeah, the big surprise obviously is Muro. Big surprise. We should have won that game at home that we lost in overtime. 6-on-5 with like 30 seconds to go, they score, and then they score in the overtime after we had a brilliant chance to score and we missed. So small margins. If we look at form, we're 6th on form, 5 last games. If we look at home, we're actually pretty good. Even though it says we're 9th, we haven't lost a single game fully at home. We've had 2 overtime losses, obviously, but we won versus Frölunda on time. We won on full time versus Färjestad. 2 very tough games. Then we surprisingly lost after leading the whole freaking game. We lost on overtime against Modo. And then we lost on penalty shootout versus Luleå. That was also really stupid. We had 1-0 lead into the third period. Take a penalty, they score, and then they win on penalties. And the penalty shootout was just, the penalty shots were bad. The goalies were good, but the penalty shots were bad. So we could have easily won this game as well on overtime or penalty shootout. So it's just really small margins. And then obviously we won last home game to Leksand. So our form is actually pretty good, even though it says 9th. Just yeah, small margins. Away, we're actually not that bad either. To be honest, 5 points in 5 games away. We started with a tough game away to Rögle, lost 3-2, very late. We lost 5-3, lost to Växjö. Nothing much to say about it. We weren't there. They dominated, and then the penalty shootout win away to Örebro. At the time, Örebro was the standout leader in the standings, so that felt like a good win away to Örebro. And then obviously the very bad performance. We had a 3-0 lead and we blew it. Because we didn't show up in the 2 other periods. So that is something that they've cleaned up to where we play all 60 minutes. We don't just stop playing in the third period all of a sudden. I don't know. It happened. It's happened a few times, but for the most part, it seems like it's cleaned up a little bit more. And now the latest away win, first 3-pointer away versus Oskarshamn. Next away game is versus Hove, the 21st, next Saturday. And next home game is on Thursday versus Timrå. And Timrå is just above us, I believe, in standings. Yes, they're 7th. One more point than we have. So it's very, very tight. From, you could argue from, it's 5 points separating 3rd and 12th. No. Yes. No, it's not 5 points. It's 6 points. I'm stupid. But yeah, it's not a whole lot of difference. It's very, very tight, especially in the middle of the table. Middle of the standings is very, very tight. So I wanna show you a few things. So Malmö Lind, ever since he got the call to get a few games, we started obviously with Adam Werner. He looked a better goalie in the preseason, and he started. And Daniel Malmö Lind got a few games, didn't look super fantastic, but then these last 2 games he's looked sharp. And you can see he's the 4th best goalie on save percentage. 94.5%. He's 4th best in the league at the moment. 4 starts, 6 goals against, 1.44 GAA, which is it's incredible. Only I believe there are a few okay. Well, you can without sorting, you can actually see um, that Carl Lindbom has 6 starts and 1 goal against average. So he's obviously the better one in terms of goals against average. But on the save percentage side, Mamadou has really found a high level of form, and I just hope that he can keep it up because we do know his when he's good, he's really good, but when he's bad, he's like a Swiss cheese, man. So I just hope that he keeps this high level and up his lowest point needs to be higher. His lowest point needs to be better so that he can be more consistent across the season. 4 starts isn't really all that much to go on, but so far so good. In terms of the other stats, let me show you this. So game score, it's advanced metrics to measure the performance of a player. This is the formula for the players, and this is the formula for goaltenders. And it's a Twitter account, Data, that is providing this. In our first game, we didn't have many players who were good. We had one standout player, Adamulas Matson. He was very good that game, and yeah, 3-2 loss to start the season. And in the second game, we had 2 standout players, Adamulas Matson again, and Alan Quine scored 2 goals for us, but it wasn't enough, unfortunately. Um, and in the first home game of the season, we won 3-2 after overtime, and we had 2 standout players, Janne Kuokkanen and Lauri Pajuniemi, were the masterminds behind the win. 2 goals for Janne Kuokkanen, 1+1 for Lauri Pajuniemi. Teemu Kivihalme also was pretty decent. Yeah, 2+, 2+, even though he wasn't assisting or scoring anything. Yeah, he did pretty well there. Basically, anything under 1 is not really all that great. So you want to be above 1. You can see how the blue fades. So the farther away from the blue you are, the worse doing. So in the fourth game, again home game versus Färjestad, a 3-1 win. Kim Rosdahl, surprisingly, was the standout player, MVP here. Janne Kuokkanen was also really good, and Markus Lauritsen was the 3rd best player in our team. But as you can see, a lot of players were not really that great. And Anton Wahlberg, I think he's yeah, never mind. Anton Wahlberg was not doing very well. that game, as you can see. One denominator that I found was that Carl Passon was not doing so hot. Carl Passon negative 0.12. Carl Passon near negative 0.40. Carl Passon, the worst player of our team, even though we won, negative 0.27. Carl Passon negative 0.2. And then Carl Passon, where are you? Here he was okay. I mean, he was +1, so, but like he's not scoring, and he's like at best he's like just above 0. But yeah, going back, where were we? So we had, after the 2 home games, we went on an away game to Örebro. We won 3-2 after shootout. Lauri Pajuniemi, Anton Wahlberg, Armolas Mattsson. These were all very good for us, but not quite enough to win on full time. So, and then we had the unfortunate home game versus Mudo. We had a very good lead, and then they score 6-on-5 with an empty net, and with like 30 seconds to go or 20 seconds to go, something like that, like something ridiculous like that, and then they score in overtime after we controlled most of the play in overtime, but they scored. So it could have gone either way. We should have had 3 points. We got 1. I felt like we were robbed, honestly. Timothy Hadme was the standout player. Good to see Anton Wahlberg was also doing well here. But yeah. And then we had the unfortunate away game versus Linköping where we had a 3-0 lead in the first period and took a late penalty in the first period, and then it went downhill from there. We couldn't stop the bleed. Despite only less than 10 minutes time on ice, Thomas Berg Paulsen scored twice, and he was a standout player for us. But again, and surprisingly enough, Audemoras Mattsson was our worst player this game here. He did not have a good game. So we had a lot of leading players not having a good game. Audemoras Mattsson not having a good game. Janne Kuokkanen not having a good game. Lauri Pajuniemi not having a good game. Fredrik Hendemark did not have a good game. There's so many standout players that were not having good games that it just, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. We had 6 unanswered goals, 5 unanswered goals, and then 6 in. I don't even remember. I've sort of pushed that game out of my mind. Anyway, we come back home for game number 8 of the season, and it's a tough home game to Luleå. The 2 prior seasons, the home game versus Luleå usually means we go downhill afterwards. So I was a little bit worried. We didn't lose by a huge margin. We'd had a 1-0 lead into the third period. They got a penalty. They got a power play, and they scored, and then they score on shootout after I don't know how long I think Donny Mamelind actually did really well. He had 37 saves on 38 shots. But yeah, too many people were under the ice. Like Alan Quine, negative 1.23. That's just not good from a leading. He's supposed to be one of our leading players. So, but turning point. We come back the next week, and Malmö actually has a very good game versus Leksand. And William von Bonnekow scores twice. Alan Quine scores. Janne Kuokkanen 2 assists. Carl Passon actually not doing not doing so bad. He's not doing well, but across the season he's not doing well. But he has his moments where he pops up, and he had a second assist here, one of the goals. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to read all these numbers. Fenwick, I'm not exactly sure. I think Fenwick for this is for and this is against, but how to read these numbers, I don't know exactly. I just go on the game score total here. Teemu Kivihalme was not super bad, but he was the worst player according to this in that game. And then we have the latest game here where we had a lot of good players. Lauri Pajuniemi had a good game. Teemu Kivihalme had a good game. William von Bonnekow had a good game. Janne Kuokkanen had a good game. Jakub Galvas had a good game. Kuokkanen's 2 assists were both from the extended goal line, like in Gretzky position, and genius, absolute genius. The William von Bonnekov's his goal was a snipe top shelf from one of those passes. It was absolutely amazing to see his shot. His shot was really good, really lethal. So that is it. And then yeah, I wanted to show you something else here as well. There is a Bettingsprocent poäng. Obviously, Kuokkanen is on 10 points in 10 games. He's a 1 point per game player at the moment, which is good to see. I did want to mention something here. We don't have a super good PK percentage, and we do have I mean, I would consider between 20 and 25% is a good across the season. It's good. So it's not catastrophic. It's not great, but we haven't had too many power plays either. So if we go to player stats and then we go to position, defenseman, and look at goals, and there's no data. Of course, there's no data, but I've seen it before. So Teemu Kivihalme actually has scored 4 goals, and he is the best goal scorer amongst defensemen so far. So that is something of note. But yeah, we've played 10 games. We now know sort of, where things are going, and it's looking pretty good. I mean, people thought we were going to be bottom feeders again, and we're not. We're clearly not. Even the games where we lost um, on full time, we most of the games we were playing pretty well. It was just small details that is the difference. It's a very close league. It's the difference isn't huge. Färjestad, the only 2 losses Färjestad has is versus us and versus Oskarshamn. That tells you something, right? Like anyone can beat anyone on any given day. It's just a matter of the current form of the team, you know, and then it's all randomness because all the teams are so good. All right, that is it for this one. Give me a like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you like these kinds of videos, and I will see you again soon, and we'll do another one of these recaps to take a look at different metrics and different stats. But yeah, also go follow Puckad on Twitter. The day after each game, he posts these game score pictures. So check him out and give him a follow on Twitter. All right, guys. See you again soon. Bye.